Hi everyone, Scapegoat Stephen. We're back with another Marvel Crisis Protocol report. So this time we've got A-Force versus Guardians of the Galaxy. We ended up with a 15 threat game using Gamma Wave, sweeps across the Midwest, and Research Station attacked. We've got She-Hulk, Black Widow, Crystal, and Rogue versus Star-Lord, Groot, Hulk, and the Winter Soldier. A-Force are bringing Advanced R&D, Medpack, Patch-Up, Special Delivery, and Stalwart Determination. Meanwhile, the Guardians are bringing Disarm, Field Dressing, Indomitable, Medpack, and We Are Groot. So I'm going to try a little bit something different with this report. There's going to be some shots of the scores as we go through, and I'm going to have the scores up during the turn so people can see how the game is progressing. So let's just jump right in. So we are going into deployment now, and the Guardians have the A-Force has priority. Which is something that does come to bite me a little bit towards the end of the turn. And there goes Crystal, nice front and centre, straight opposite Hulk. And we put down Rogue, followed by a mirrored Groot, followed by Black Widow. It's all very clumped up as it's 2Es straight down the middle. There goes Winter Soldier, in goes She-Hulk, and finally Star-Lord. So for this turn, winging it, so people are aware, go on Quill, Hulk, and Winter Soldier. Groot's kind of there as a late game finisher piece and a healing bot with the We Are Groot card. So I'm going to start with Black Widow. She's going to move forward. Groot is also just going to move forward. So he sat on that back gamma shelter. I believe next we are expecting Rogue to do an early double move for the centre. So the intention here was to try and bait out some attacks into her for the power generation for A-Force. Winter Soldier's going to go. He is going to move up so that he is within range of this gamma shelter, closest to my opponent. He is aware of my intended tactics here, but I think he realises, let's just put a little bit of damage on Rogue to start with. So he's going to walk there, and he's just going to take a shot. He gets 2 damage actually through, even despite damage reduction from Rogue. But then his rapid fire does nothing to her. So I only get 1 point of power extra from that on She-Hulk's leadership. Next, we move to She-Hulk and Crystal, doing a combo move. It's actually Crystal's activation, but we're going to do special delivery to try and get ourselves straight in onto that central objective. In hindsight, maybe I should use special delivery later in the game, and it's something as I'm learning A-Force, I'm finding maybe that turn 1, unless your opponent gives you someone, is perhaps not the best choice. Maybe save it for a later turn. It depends if you need the movement or the hitting potential of it. She-Hulk obviously being very easily controlled. Crystal is then going to take a pop with Hydrokinesis and just does 1 damage and slow to Groot. Groot is already a slow move. It's more just getting a bit of chip damage into Groot and setting up the slow for She-Hulk's Spender attack, perhaps later in the game. So Star-Lord's going to move. He is going to full auto into Rogue. Just does a tiny bit of chip damage. Again, Rogue with that damage reduction, you just want to get as much damage into her. Either you want to take her out straight away, or if you've got a good plan, as you'll see in a minute, then doing that chip damage is always worth it. I'd probably misplay here, actually, in the next activation with She-Hulk. I kind of look like maybe I should have just walked forward and, I don't know, punched Groot a bit, thrown Groot around. It's difficult to say in hindsight. Instead, I just move her back so she's just tagging that central objective. So I've only got on the Gamma/Researcher, I have Rogue and She-Hulk. So Big Hulk is going to Gamma Leap. Basically, so he's forced to walk basically to get onto this central objective. He then punches Rogue, but I do bodyguard it onto She-Hulk, who takes 2 damage, and he does get the wild push. So he does push She-Hulk backwards ever so slightly, just out of range of the Researcher so that she's not clipping it. I believe she actually hits that building that's just behind her. And then he's just going to pick up Rogue and throw her away, just so that, again, she is also not scoring on this objective. There's a discussion about where do you throw her? Do you throw her to take a bit of damage? Do you throw her to take the Gamma? In the end, he decides, let's just throw her out so that she gets the Gamma rather than boffs into the car just behind her. So that is the end of turn. So due to Hulk coming in strong there, We only score 1 point for the A-Force on my home Gamma Shelter. Meanwhile, my opponent scores 5, which is really strong. You get 2 on the Gamma in the middle, 1 on the Gamma at their home, and 2 for that Researcher. So let's go into turn 2. So we're coming into turn 2. I play Stalwart Determination, which will affect all of my characters apart from Rogue, because Rogue is not affiliated. She's an A-Force member, unfortunately, at least not in this game currently. So I'm going to go Rogue first. She's only got 2 health left. She's sort of trying to decide where she goes. So we're just moving the Researcher. So my opponent actually pulls it back towards him, be a little bit safer. He knows he probably can't overcommit to sending too many models physically into me, because Star-Lord and Winter Soldier are obviously sort of more ranged characters. And I do have quite a bit of punch between Rogue and She-Hulk. So I'm going to go with Rogue, as I said, just before she gets dazed. She's going to move there, so she's into that middle Gamma Shelter. After she medpacks herself, she charges and punches Hulk. She just does 2 damage to start with. Then she's going to Mutant Absorption him and take 4 of his power. And then finally, she is going to use her big spender, Southern Hospitality, because it's got a throw on the end, basically. She doesn't do an awful lot of damage with it. I think she only does the 1 in the end, but does get that crucial small throw off just to get him sort of slung. I debate whether or not do I throw him into Groot, do I throw him into like the lamppost just to do a bit of damage. But in the end, I decide to just get him out of dodge. Problem is, if I throw him into Groot, then he's probably not close enough still actually to do standard attacks. Maybe I should have thrown him into Groot, get a bit of damage in on Groot. And I think he still would have had to have moved to be able to attack anyone. It was a bit dicey, so in the end I threw him just away so that he would have to Gamma Leap or walk into me. So Winter Soldier's going to go next, just generate himself some power by shooting Rogue. Despite damage reduction, he still manages to get 3 damage through on his first shot, and he does nothing on the rapid fire. He does get the rapid fire trigger, which obviously only needs that extra hit roll, but just doesn't do anything. Then he does another shot, just does 1 damage, and manages to not get a rapid fire trigger on that. So he only gets 3 shots overall instead of like his sort of usual 4. But he does 4 damage to Rogue, which is a good job of medpacked her, otherwise she would have been out after that first shot. I believe she's now down to, I want to say 5 health. Or no, she's back to 4, sorry, because she healed a bunch, I believe, or she's taken 5. Either way, she's only got a couple left. So I'm going to go Crystal next, because actually there's a lot of bunched up characters over there. And I debate, do I try and get some status conditions on Hulk, or the push, to push Hulk away, realizing obviously that my opponent has a card which would have stopped Hulk getting pushed. I'm a little bit hesitant to do that, or then maybe I should have used that. Maybe that could have actually got me some better. Would have used the card up at least, because obviously he's got the no pushes or throws, but he doesn't have the no collateral damage card. So in the end, I decide, you know what, let's go get a beam in on Star-Lord and Groot, get some nice Incinerate potentially out there. So we do Incinerate and 2 damage to Star-Lord, which is nice. Unfortunately, we don't do anything to Groot. We don't get the Incinerate or any damage into Groot, despite energy being his weaker defense type. We're then going to do another shot against Star-Lord, which is a physical, and we do get the Wild, which does a push, and we do 3 damage to Star-Lord, which I believe leaves him on 1 after all that. I'm pretty sure he's only got 6 health on his healthy side. But we do get the Wild for the push, and again, it's that where do I send him? Because obviously you've got the whole sort of push element of it. In the end, I just sort of decide as far away as possible. I think it's just trying to keep him at arm's length. I know he's a ranged character. I know he's going to get shots in. But if it forces him to use an action to move, he does have hit and run, obviously. It means that he can't use hit and run first and then do whatever he wants with his second activation. He's got to move in. So Groot's going to go. He is going to look at Crystal, give her a bit of a punch. He does nothing, unfortunately. Like, he just rolls really low with his standard strike. He does a second strike and just does the 1 damage. He then uses We Are Groot, which will obviously heal Hulk, crucially, and also Groot himself from... Is Groot taking damage? Yes, maybe. So I probably make a mess up here, and I just basically do nothing with Black Widow. I choose to activate her and do nothing. I think my mistake here was maybe I should have taken a Okoye instead of Black Widow. I was worried about, due to the range of Guardians and Friends, having a stealth character on the back objective might have been a better call. Maybe it wasn't in hindsight, especially because I didn't utilize Black Widow to the best opportunity in this game. So Hulk's going to go. He is going to move forward. He's not going to do his Gamma Leap. He's going to move forward and he's just going to hit Crystal, which does 2 damage. He's then going to, because he obviously can't push her with a wild or anything, he is then going to throw Rogue, because she's the only character he can throw. He throws her into the cart that does 1 damage. Perfect setup, really good play, because it means she's then just going to die to the Gamma at the start of the next turn, which basically, at the end of this turn, which means she's KO'd, ready for next turn. Sorry, not KO'd, but dazed, ready for the start of next turn, which means you can potentially KO her next turn. So I'm going to do She-Hulk. She's going to have to use a movement action, then uses superior weight training on herself and just punches Hulk for a casual 6 damage, and then picks up that big office building next to her and throws that at Hulk. And unfortunately, Hulk, obviously still reeling from that punch that She-Hulk gave him, just takes 4 damage, like 4 damage out of the 5 from being smacked in the face. So She-Hulk, 10 damage into Hulk there, quite tasty. Star-Lord's then going to go, as the last character has not yet activated. He is going to move first, and then he is going to hit and run and shoot at Crystal. I make a big mistake here. I should have bodyguard with She-Hulk. Instead, I just take it on Crystal, and it dazes Crystal. Big mistake on my part. I think here this means I still get the Gamma in the center, but I'm not going to get that Researcher, because I've got 2 characters. He'll have 2 characters, so it would have been contested. But because Crystal is dazed, she's no longer healthy. He has priority over me on that Researcher. I've got no excuse. It was just like, I've played a lot more A-Force since I filmed this video, so I think I'm a little bit better with the team now. It's just unfortunate. I think I lost it in the heat of the moment, didn't consider it, completely forgot about it, and Crystal goes down, unfortunately. And he does use that move, like I've just said, to go tag that Researcher. So he's going to score that Researcher again, getting him a nice, healthy raft of points. So yeah, I only get 3 this turn. So I get the middle Gamma Shelter and I also get my home Gamma Shelter. My opponent scores 3 as well. 1 Gamma Shelter, his home Gamma Shelter, and the Researcher. So that takes him to 8 to my 4. Obviously, if we'd contested the Researcher, sorry, then it still would have got a good, got himself up to 6 points, but it would have been a little bit closer. Like I said, unfortunate priority on target priority on my part. I just didn't think of the bodyguard at the time. It's turn 3. Can the A-Force bring it back? So just doing a bit of cleanup and moving the Researcher. My opponent's trying to decide, does he pull it further into his own lines or does he push it out to the side? Pushes it out to the side, probably quite a wise move. I think pulling it further into his lines gives me the chance to potentially secure it near his Gamma Shelter, which obviously would not go down very well. If I could get both the Gamma and his Researcher, that's like a 7 points. So I've still got priority, so I'm going to go with She-Hulk. She's going to use superior weight training and uses her spender attack to attack Hulk, because if it gets a point of damage, it still does stagger, which is something. It sort of slows him down a bit. Maybe in hindsight, I still should have done my initial standard strike first here, just to build a bit more power, but I have just spent like 8 on this attack. It makes it a 13 dice attack, and I do 8 damage into Hulk. It's really good, solid hit. I believe this leaves Hulk really low, like on 4 health maybe, I think, at this stage. We haven't got, unfortunately, the power to do any other additional bonuses to attack, so just do a standard attack in the hope to generate some power to do something else with, like a throw. And we manage to do a single point of damage. So I think Hulk is on like 3. So disappointingly, not quite dead yet. Kind of wish he was, not going to lie. Because then Hulk's going to activate before I deal with him. So He's going to use Hulk Smash on She-Hulk because it's also going to stagger me back if he smacks me with it. Obviously, there's nothing really that I can do to prevent that at this stage. So he does his Hulk Smash, does 5 damage, a stagger, and a push. He gets quite a bit of stuff off onto She-Hulk, which obviously then, once we resolve, as you can see, quite a few attacks. Again, great thing with Hulk is the more you damage him, the more attack dice you get. So real strong play. And he's going to push me sort of out again, out to the side. So I believe I'm out of any gamma shelters, and having to then walk to attack back in. Maybe again, this is why I should be saving special delivery, perhaps, for later in the turn. Or later in the game, sorry, I should say. So he's then going to pick up and throw Crystal into Black Widow. Obviously, Widow will take damage. She managed to dodge pretty well, and Crystal takes the damage just from the standard. He's then going to Gamma Leap to try desperately to stay away from Rogue, coming in and popping in for that last 3 points of damage. So Hulk and Star-Lord are nicely lined up for a beam there. Crystal is going to get it into her head that maybe that's probably the best call. Get onto that. I do check the measurement on Rogue and think, you know what, she can't get to Hulk. She probably can get to Star-Lord, but Star-Lord isn't the person I'm looking to get rid of. I am aiming to try and dispose of Hulk this turn. That's me just putting 2 measuring sticks of the same type on the table at the same time. I really apologise. Shouldn't have done that. I just accidentally left Rogues there for some reason. But Crystal, yeah, long move to there, and it's going to beam straight through Hulk and Star-Lord. She gets 1 damage in on Star-Lord and nothing on Hulk. Oh, it's unfortunate. So then she's going to spend 4 to get her extra shot. She does 3 damage into Hulk, which is just 4 technically, and he only saves 1, which does indeed daze the Hulk. Gets him out of there. That big hit from She-Hulk really, really did it. It was really key earlier in the turn. And here we go. That second shot into Hulk. 3 damage. Daze it. Technically, I think we misplayed this. The model should stay on the board until the end of the turn, because he's dazed, because then he obviously blocks various bits and pieces. Winter Soldier then shoots Crystal back due to the ability that he has when models are dazed. He just takes Crystal off the board, which is unfortunate, but that's how it goes. I've got trading Hulk for Crystal, probably not too bad, generally speaking, in the scheme of things. He does require the rapid fire trigger as well to take her off the board, so it is 2 shots to bleed and KO her. Star-Lord's going to go. He's going to shoot She-Hulk. Just pretty strong, given he's got an energy gun. She's got good energy defense, just 4 damage straight off the top. He then hits and runs and does a full auto into She-Hulk. Only does 2 damage this time, but crucially picks slow and stun as the 2 conditions that she will be affected by. Pretty good. The slow's probably the most important there. Stun I can kind of get around with the leadership ability, but yeah, the slow, quite important, especially if then he backs off. As you can see, he's got the researcher. If he scores 3 points a turn and I score 3 points a turn for the rest of the game, he's already ahead on 8. So chances are, I'm a bit stuck there. So I'm going to go with Rogue next. She's going to move, just a standard move to the middle to start with. I do debate, does she go after Star-Lord or Groot at this point? But Star-Lord is so close to death and has the researcher, I feel that he's the better choice. Currently, anyway. So Rogue then charges straight into her spender, into the Southern Hospitality, and dazes Star-Lord. The throw occurs on that just before you do the damage, so he's still technically conscious. So he then spends not to be thrown. Although in hindsight, maybe, yeah, no, he would have gained the power, which would have been the resolution of the attack. He spends the power on Indomitable and isn't thrown, and then is dazed. So Groot's going to go next. He's going to move on to that central objective. Again, probably a good call. and he is going to punch Groot. Groot is Groot. Groot is going to punch Rogue. Just does the 1 damage, and then he is going to use his superpower Root, targeting Rogue, because then that obviously would make her pay 1 more for future superpowers. You know, a 3-cost charge, probably not great. So Black Widow's going to go next. She is actually, so I make the decision here to abandon the back objective on my side because I kind of need to stop my opponent scoring. So I've got a healthy Rogue on the researcher. Groot is on the center objective, so I kind of need to stop him scoring on that central objective. So I'm just going to walk Black Widow up, and she has an energy attack, which obviously Groot is weaker to energy attacks. So she's going to smack Groot with that and does 2 damage and forces him to lose a power. She then patches up She-Hulk for 4. She-Hulk's actually quite low on health at this point. I think she's sort of, well, I say quite low on health. I think she's taken somewhere between 10 and 13 damage. So even with that heal, she's still she's at least half dead. So Winter Soldier's going to go next. He's looking at his options, and I think honestly he takes the best choice here. Pretty good play by my opponent. So he just takes 1 move action, gets into Red Fury range, which is his spending attack. So he's going to smack Rogue. Just 4 damage, just straight up 4 damage, even with the damage reduction into Rogue's. Again, it's in Rogue's physical defense, so you would have thought it'd be all right, but no. He's got that knife straight in. It does have a push, which gets her crucially away from the researcher. Important. So then he assault rifles her. Unfortunately, has pushed her into bodyguard range for She-Hulk. So She-Hulk will take that instead and takes. Does 4 damage to She-Hulk from that as well, which is crazy. Gets the rapid fire trigger. She-Hulk bodyguards again and just does the 1 damage. So he's just done 4 damage to Rogue and 5 damage to She-Hulk with a single spender attack. Really key play there, especially that push. So the final play actually that Winter Soldier makes on that turn is a really, really important field dressing on Star-Lord. So Star-Lord comes back on 1 health and is no longer dazed, so it gives him that extra bit of survivability. I score terribly. I do nothing again. So I'll come off that back objective, as I said, and I'm contesting the middle objective, and he's pushed Rogue away from the researcher, so not even contesting the researcher. So that's a big fat 0 for me. So it's still 4 points. He scores 3, 1 for his home gamma, which the Winter Soldier is on, and 2 for the researcher, taking the Guardians to 12 points. We're getting into the sort of the end game. Rogue is going to charge with her spender into Bucky, just to try and, can we daze Bucky so we don't keep getting shot by his ridiculous damage output. Does 3 damage in the throw and throws him into the lamppost, which is sort of towards the bottom of the, or in the direction of the camera. This isn't going to be enough. Bucky doesn't have any damage on him currently when she initiates the charge, so unfortunately, it's not really going to do as much as I want it to. The throw obviously was there to try and see, if he had just the 1 hit point left, could I throw him into that and daze him? Just again wanted to get him off the board. Really, if I positioned, maybe I should position a bit better, and I could have thrown him into Star-Lord, but then it would daze Star-Lord, and he still would have got some shots off. So never mind. It was a chance. Unfortunately, I'm not left with a huge amount of power, so I do mutant absorption on Star-Lord and daze Star-Lord, and then Bucky shoots Rogue, no damage. Gets rapid fire, no damage. Pretty happy with that. So then she'll energy punch Groot for 2 damage, and because I can see the writings on the wall with her, I've still got advanced R&D left, so I'll spend it rather pointlessly, but put 1 point of power on Black Widow, because I can see that Rogue's days are numbered. I think she's on 1 health or something silly. So Groot's going to go next. This is a beautiful activation by Groot. He is going to move. He's going to use his spender into She-Hulk, which does 3 damage initially, and leaves She-Hulk on, I want to say, like 1 health or something, and throws She-Hulk into Rogue, dazing She-Hulk and K-ing Rogue. Beautiful play from Groot there. Loved it. Widow's going to go. She's got, I don't know what to do here. So she's going to double move just to get herself in a position where she's contesting both or where she's holding at this point my opponent's home Gamma and contesting the researcher that's up near Star-Lord at the moment. Unfortunately, Winter Soldier still has an activation to go at this point, and it's not looking good for Black Widow. So Winter Soldier's just going to move. Red Fury does 1 damage, pushes her crucially, does an assault rifle 1 damage, rapid fire, dazes Black Widow. Oh, brutal set of activations from Bucky over the course of this game. Just single-handedly, just all that chip damage coming in. Field dressing obviously increases the chances that I'm going to daze someone once you can get it off. And he obviously pushes Black Widow out of range of her being able to hit him back with her counter. We'll just have a quick chat here about activation timings and orders, sort of when it is that his push occurs versus counter strike, just to make sure we've got the ruling right in our head. But yeah, we end up with a dazed Natasha who can't do anything back to Winter Soldier. This does ultimately leave us in a very precarious position for the final turn. I say precarious. It's quite clear, isn't it, at this point that Guardians are going to win. They're just not going to manage it quite this turn itself. We are sort of looking at options for what actually can Black Widow do in that final turn, where she's actually going to contribute anything other than just walking forward and being gunned down. So basically, Guardians are going to score the 2 points, which is going quickly into the final turn. Widow's going to move, and she is going to use her spender on Winter Soldier. Does no damage. Good start. My opponent actually, maybe we misscored this from the previous turn, but never mind. Groot's going to double move. Star-Lord is going to shoot Black Widow, doing 1 damage. She's going to counter strike and do no damage. Star-Lord's going to hit and run and shoot Black Widow, doing 1 damage. It's Bucky's then going to go, and you know what? Well, sorry, we'll just move Star-Lord in a second. We're just finishing out these attacks. Star-Lord's going to move on to that central objective. Is quite where he's going. Bucky's then going to Red Fury me and just KO Black Widow, ending her run and finishing it. So yeah, not the best outing for the A-Force, losing in the end 20-4. Not 100% sure if the KO win comes before the points are scored or if the points are scored as the KO occurs. But the Guardians are on potentially 20 points, maybe even 21 if we misscored that previous turn, as I said. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the change to the way that I've sort of displayed the turn order and the score. Let me know, give me some feedback, and I can improve from here. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.